In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can set up a multi-million-dollar end-to-end cold email campaign in the next few minutes. Before I dive into my screen here and show you exactly how to do that, in addition to sharing a cold email template that has been proven for over 2,000 businesses, just so you know who you're listening to, my name is Ravi Abuvala. I'm the founder of Scaling with Systems. And in the past 4 years, we worked with over 2,000 businesses to build end-to-end marketing systems for them. So I have reviewed literally tens of thousands of emails and set up thousands of different marketing systems. And this is the simplest, yes, most effective way of doing it with cold email. As a quick side note, if you just want our business to build you an end-to-end marketing system guaranteed or your money back, just click the link in the description down below and we can hop on a quick call. All right, so this is your outbound funnel system here. I'm gonna break it down on a 30,000 view, and then I'm actually gonna show you step-by-step what each one of these look like. So there's four main components. There's the audience, there's the messaging, there's the discovery call, and there's a demonstration call. Before I get into all of like the automation and sending 10,000 emails every single day, I'll tell you that there's two big mistakes I see people make when they're creating a cold email campaign. The first is they go for quantity before they go for quality. Everybody watches all these YouTube videos and hears of people sending 10,000 emails a day, and they think that that is the reason why they're not getting booked appointments. What if I told you that you could send 15 to 25 emails a day and get 3 to 5 booked appointments from that 15 to 25 emails? Would that make more sense than sending 10,000 emails and getting the same amount of booked appointments? The idea behind this is that we start small and we focus on the messaging, because if it works on a small scale, your messaging, then it will work on a large scale. But it's very difficult to test the messaging on a large scale because there's so many things that break when you're sending 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 emails in a day. So even if you're literally manually copy and pasting and sending 5 to 15 emails, I bet you that in the beginning you'd get more feedback and have more of a chance of having a successful campaign that scales than if you just start from the very beginning, slapping on a copy and paste template and sending it out to 10,000 people. The second mistake I see people making when they're setting up their cold email campaigns is they don't understand the frame. So your frame is essentially the position that you find yourself in when your prospect comes across your business. So for example, if you're sending a cold email message out to this person and you're sending it into their inbox, you don't have that strong of a frame because you are coming to that person saying, hey, you should come work for me. You should come work for me. Now let's flip it and reverse it. And we spend quite a bit of money on ads and I create quite a bit of organic content, and that brings people inbound to our company. And that has us have a stronger frame because these people are coming to me and they're saying, hey, Ravi, I'd like to work with you. It's almost like they're selling themselves on me. Now, I'm not going to say that one is better than the other because although the inbound is really nice, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to build content, and outbound doesn't take a lot of money or a lot of time, and you can do it instantaneously. So they both kind of have their pros and cons, but the mistake is coming at an outbound frame with an inbound frame mentality, meaning that you're coming to people and you're saying, hey, my what doesn't stink, and you should watch this 2-hour-long webinar and go through this 50-page application before I'm even considering getting on a call with you. You're not going to have any responses and nobody's going to book a call. Instead, we want to be aggressive on our outbound messages and aggressive on our outbound frame approach, so that way we can get enough leads that books enough calls, that gets enough sales, that we can then reinvest into building marketing, media systems that bring inbound leads to allow us for an inbound frame. So with that out the way, let's dive in. What I've learned is that the most important part of this entire 4-step process is the audience, meaning who you're actually sending this message to. What can happen is that if you're being very targeted and very, very curated with who you're sending these emails to, you could have a 60, 70, 80% open rate, a 20% booking rate, and a 20 to 40% close rate. Yet most people just go online to these random lead generating websites. They download a list of 50,000 people, and like I said, they just blast it out to everybody. What we want to do is spend some time up front in the very beginning and make sure that the people we're sending emails to are as qualified as possible. Now, your definition of qualified is going to vary versus my definition of qualified. For example, if you're selling to real estate agents, maybe your definition of qualified is they have to sell at least 5 homes in the last 30 days. Or if you're reaching out to an advertising agency, maybe it's that they have to have at least 2 active clients. If you're reaching out to a coach or a consultant, maybe it's that they have 10 testimonials. The idea behind this is that you're identifying things that lets you know even before you send the initial message that this person is going to be worth your time. Because there's nothing worse than sending a bunch of messages out to a bunch of people that aren't qualified. Then they respond back, they get on the phone with you, and then you think that your offer doesn't work or the entire system doesn't work just because you're speaking to the wrong people. So that's why I recommend spending quite a bit of time up front identifying the audience that works best for you. Now, a few tools that we've used and we help our clients use as well in order to identify good audiences. There are hundreds of lead scraping tools out there. The biggest idea behind it is that you just want to make sure you can get very specific and you can identify people based off of software or, industry or revenue or number of employees, et cetera, et cetera. One of our favorite tools is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I have literally dozens of videos on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, so I'm not going to cover it in this video. The other tool that we like to use is called BuiltWith. So pro.builtwith.com. And what you can do is you can come in here and you can create a report. So I'm going to create a report in the top right-hand side of the screen, and you can create a keyword report, a technology report, and a bunch of other ones, but I'm just going to do technology report. And then I can literally type in a bunch of different websites that or softwares that different companies use that lets me know if this person is going to be in my qualifying audience. So a really great example that we've used when we've reached out to e-commerce store owners or we've helped our clients reach out to e-commerce store owners is Shopify. So if I were to click Shopify here, then I can get a list of Shopify stores in the United States. So I'm going to make sure that they're in the United States. Or I can say that I want to make sure they have an estimated $10 million in revenue or $1 million in revenue, right? So there's only 8 people in that one. So I'd probably try the $1 million in revenue, which is 182 people on this one. So that might be the variations that we use. And as an example of how important it is to spend the time up front to find these qualified emails, look at the difference in the people with $1, $10,000, $1 million, and $10 million. People with $1 in sale revenue, meaning they literally just have a Shopify store, essentially, there's 4 million people, right? So if you try to go online and you scrape a list of Shopify store owners, the majority of people you're going to be messaging to have $1 in revenue. Now, $10,000 in sales revenue, meaning they're probably a little bit serious, is 78,000 stores. So if we were to take 78,577 and we were to divide it by 4238997, that means that 1.8% of total Shopify stores have $10,000 in sales revenue. 1.8%. Yet the majority of people are just blasting out messages and wondering why nobody's responding back. So I personally would probably start at this $1,000 in sales revenue for the list that I chose to scrape emails from. And once you set out your list here, you can see that these are literally giving me these stores that have a specific amount of sales revenue, and I can sort by the amount of sales revenue, a specific amount of tech spend, followers, products, employees. And a great example that I also want to show you is that the goal is not to also just be sending emails to the people that have the most money. Because for example, Kylie Cosmetics, if I'm running an advertising agency and I'm maybe just starting out or I have a few clients, it's going to be pretty hard for me to get Kylie Jenner as a client. I'm not saying you're not going to get it. I'm going to say that it's probably going to be pretty difficult to do, right? Where instead, if I flip it around here a little bit, I might be able to find 1 or 2 people here that I could reach out to that are a few $100,000 in sales, and they're going to be more likely to be interested in working with me because they don't have somebody in-house. So let's say I found one called store.taxfoundation.org. And I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and you can see, I can literally see inside of here. Let me scroll in. I can see the president, the director, and then people that are working at the company. So let's say that we want to reach out to the president, who is I would reach out to if this was my campaign. So let me just click on this little Google tab here. You can see that it actually brings and types them into Google, but that's not going to be good enough because I don't really have their email. So what I'll do is I'll copy and paste, or I'll copy their first and last name, and then we'll go to another software known as Apollo. Now, there are ways to make this much more seamless and integrated, and I'm not going to cover it in this video here because remember, the idea in the beginning is I'm using all of this stuff for free. I haven't paid $1 yet, okay? So I just want to make this as simple as possible for now, but of course, if you were to try to do this at scale, you would definitely get the paid plans and integrate some of this. But I would go into search on app.apollo.io, and then I can type in somebody's first and last name in this top right-hand side. So let me just scroll in a little bit for you guys here. I'm going to click paste. and I'm going to click on enter. And let's see if this will pull up somebody for us real quick. Okay, well, unfortunately, this person looks like they didn't actually pull up here. Okay, so let's go back to the Shopify websites again. Let's find another one really quickly. So this one, I wasn't able to find the person's first and last name. So let me just scroll down here and try to find one, randomly pick. So store.thoughtcatalog.com. And then the founder is Chris Lavarnge. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. We'll come back over to Apollo. We'll paste the name in there. And as you can see here, Thought Catalog right here. And I can click access email on this website without having to go anywhere else. So that's app.apollo.ai. I identified the qualified person from BillTwist, and then I came over here and I pasted their name and email inside of app.apollo.ai in order to get their actual email. Okay, so now that we found the audience and we have a list of a few people that we want to send the email to, let's go over to our cold email template. Now, I have said, like I said earlier, I have sent literally thousands of cold emails. This is probably one of the best templates that I have ever used, okay? So the subject line is going to be quick question name. So quick question Bob. In this example, I would have said quick question Chris. Came across thoughtcatalog.com while doing some research into successful Shopify stores, and I wanted to reach out. We can help you benefit without fear or objection handlers. So we can help you double your Shopify profit in the next 90 days without any additional ad spend on your end. Okay, so that would be a pretty awesome transformation. Now, you can see, obviously, most people go, oh, well, I can't make that claim because I can't do that. Well, then obviously you need to make your offer better. If I would have sent Chris this email and I said, hey, Chris, I came across Thought Catalog and I can help you, you should get on a call with me. That's not specific enough. It's not, the claim's not bold enough. So don't lie. But obviously, if you're coming out there and you have somebody being like, hey, I can literally make you at least $1 more, you're probably not going to get a response back from that. But if you're very specific, like we guarantee that we will double your business or something like that, or without spending any more money. And just so people that are like, oh, I can't do that. Well, I guarantee you, because we've done it before, you go to a company spending $50,000 a month in ads with proper attribution and setting up a good email and text campaign for abandoned carts, you could easily add an additional $50,000 a month if they're spending enough money there. So understand that it's not out of this world for you to be able to do it, okay? And for example, at our company, we guarantee that people will make their money back once we build them a end-to-end marketing system within 90 days, or we give them all of their money back. So I'm in a decently saturated industry where we're definitely a category king, but I still have to make guarantees and risk reversals myself. And I have a whole other video that goes into offers. I won't talk about it here, but you get the idea. And the best part, we guarantee we'll get you results or give you your money back and give you a check for $10,000, right? I had a client that literally was making that exact offer, that if they couldn't beat their current ROAS, that they would give them the money back and write a check for $10,000. And that business exploded almost overnight. So, you know, if you're not afraid of the guarantee, it's probably not a strong enough guarantee. Would that be of interest to you, right? So it's like almost a rhetorical question. We've worked with companies like X, Y, and Z to do the exact same thing, resulting in results for the clients that we worked with. So we worked with companies like Coca-Cola, Shopanova, and Kylie Jenner to do the exact same thing, resulting in a collective $1 billion in add to carts for the clients that we worked with. Reply back to this email here to let me know, or book a call here. Insert calendar link. Now, why is this last line here so important? Because it gives them two very simple options. Number one, they can simply reply back to the email, just like, yeah, I'm interested, at which point you can also pull their phone number from Apollo and you can outbound dial them, which I'll talk about in a moment, or they can book a time in your calendar if that's more convenient, which is a link to your calendar link. Why is that important? Because instead of saying, watch this 20-minute video sales letter and watch this 2-hour-long webinar, no one's gonna do that. You just interrupted their day and you don't have the frame, right? Remember, because you're doing outbound. So instead, keep it short and punchy and have they have the frame, and then they can decide to book a call on your calendar. And that's it. This is a incredibly simple but incredibly effective cold email, okay? Now, why do I have this little slide right here, this feedback right here? Because very likely when you first start sending cold emails, even if you use our exact script, it's not going to be like every single person is responding back to your emails. So instead, what we need to do is we need to take feedback from what we're getting responses to, and we need to iterate the cold message, and we might even need to iterate the audience. So for example, let's say we go back to this list right here and I send 100 or 200 emails out, and all of these people say they don't want to work with me because they already have an in-house team. Then I may need to go back and actually end up selecting the list of people people in Built With that had at least $1 in sale, but instead I filter by people in there that have like, you know, $3,000 or $5,000 or $8,000, because maybe they're going to be more likely to be able to jump on board in advertising agency. Or I can come in here and I can change the offer around. And instead of saying that we'll replace your current marketing team, we bolt on your marketing team. So down here, you could say, and the best part is we don't replace your marketing team. We are an addition to them. So these are all, people think that literally they download a list of 10,000 people online, and then they send this cold copy and paste message they got from a YouTube video. Nope, no pun intended. And they send it out there and they just wonder, well, it didn't work. Well, cold email doesn't work. This works for cold email. This works for advertising. This works for sales. There has to be a feedback loop. You have to see and understand, why are people not responding? Is it the subject line? Is it the first line of text inside of there? Is it the actual copy? Is it the offer? Is it the audience, right? And there's no set it and forget it system. I'm sorry if someone told you that. There's no set it and forget it system, but you can make a disgusting amount of money by doing this correctly. And it is very, very leveraged, okay? Now, let's say that people are messaging back and they're saying, yes, I'm interested, okay? And another thing that sometimes we'll like to do is we'll say, reply back to this email with your best phone number to let me know, or they can book a call there. So this allows us to now get their phone number. And also Apollo and a few other scraping tools will also give you their phone number as well. Now you're like, Ravi, I can't call them. People don't like when you call them, blah, blah, blah. And I know I'm like grouping a lot of people together when I say this, but the idea behind this is you don't have the frame. They have the frame, okay? And so you need to be hungry and aggressive with cold email. I need to outbound dial the people that have responded back, or here's a little catch, the people that have opened the email and not even responded, because that's called cold emailing 2.0. I talk about this in a different video, but in cold emailing 2.0, you're not just waiting for a response. If you know someone's read your message, you can call them the same day and they're probably still going to have some kind of recollection of it. And if I had a nickel for every time that our clients were able to book calls from outbound dialing versus just waiting for the leads to come to them, well, I'd have a lot of nickels, okay? So you need to understand that a lot of your appointments will come if you're outbound dialing. And by the way, if you don't want to outbound dial, then you need to switch your marketing campaign from cold email to an inbound campaign, whether it's paid advertising or content, because you don't have a frame, okay? You are asking these people almost, I don't want to say begging, but you have to understand where you're coming from here. You're interrupting them and you're saying, you need this, come to me. And so you got to be a little bit aggressive. But if it's the other way around, like for us, we get literally hundreds of qualified booked appointments a month inbound, and we're able to say like, we don't want to talk to that person. We don't want to talk to that. We do want to talk to that person because I'm paying money and I've spent years building this brand up like that. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. And then once you're outbound dialing, you're essentially conducting a discovery call. So the discovery call is a very, very simple call. You're essentially asking 3 to 5 questions, and the discovery call is not a sales call. It's not for you to identify their pain points and for all this stuff. The discovery call is literally just to see if they're worth getting on a demonstration call. It's not uncommon for our discovery call to be 12 to 15 minutes long, okay? The longer you make the discovery call, the less dials you can make, and the less likely that person's gonna convert, and the more you're gonna get in the territory of a demonstration call. And once again, you need to understand the frame. So the last part I'm gonna give you here is the transition from discovery to demonstration. So the frame when you're in the discovery call is still an outbound frame. Okay, so you're outbound dialing this person. You're trying to get 10 to 15 minutes. You're trying to see if they're qualified. Do they have financials? Are they the person that they say they are? Are they at least interested in hearing about it? And then once you get them on the calendar for a demonstration call, my friends, the frame has switched. You have now an inbound frame. They are now saying, I am potentially interested in working with your business and I would like to get on a call with you. So now you can get them on a call and you can sit down, go through a pitch deck, go through your sales script, and walk through what it would be like to work with you. So you have reverse, you flip the board. It is now your time and your turn to now hold the cards and say, this is why you should come work with us. And then you decide on that call whether you want to make them an offer or not. Everything before this, you do not have the frame, okay? Now, talking about what I talked about in the very beginning, this is why we're a huge fan of paid advertising, because paid advertising pretty much replaces this whole thing with software and money. You just pay money instead, and then you get demonstration calls coming in. But I understand a lot of people don't have money and they have a lot of time. So instead, you need to work this whole way here to get to the ability to get on a demonstration call where the frame has switched and now you are in the driver's seat. Okay. And that's where you're going to be able to close deals. If you just want us to build this entire end-to-end marketing system for you, guaranteed to be profitable or your money back, click the link in the description down below now.